Good morning, students.
Good morning, ma'am.
Okay, dear students, today we are going to learn a very interesting lesson. Before that, I'd like to ask you a few questions, and please don't answer collectively. You have to raise your hands. Just tell me, what was the primitive form of Earth? Yes, Shrividya?
It was a hot ball of gases.
Yes, you're right. It was a ball of hot gases. And this ball of hot gases, it cooled down slowly and steadily, and the earth took its present shape and form. Now also, though the earth appears to be calm on the surface, but there are many processes which keep on occurring inside as well as outside the surface of the earth. Now please tell me, what are the two different agents which cause changes on the surface of the earth? Yes, Ashima?
Internal processes, external processes.
Yes, you're right. There are two processes which cause changes on the surface of the earth, and these are the internal processes and the external processes. Let us see from this chart. Now there are two processes, internal processes and external processes. Now the internal processes are also called the endogenic forces, and the external processes are also called the exogenic forces. The examples of internal processes are earthquake, volcanoes, landslides. And these internal processes, they are also called diastrophic forces which cause the building of the mountains. And in the external category, we have the erosional and the depositional forces like the river, wind, sea waves and glaciers. Dear students, you might have experienced at least once in your life that the chair on which you were sitting, it started shaking suddenly. What is such an experience called? Yes, Richa?
This experience is called an earthquake.
Yes, you're right. This experience is called an earthquake, and we just saw that earthquake is an internal process of change. So today we are going to study earthquake as an internal process of change, and you can write it down on your copies. The title for the lesson today is Earthquake and Internal Agent of Change. So before we go into the depth of the lesson, let us try to define an earthquake. As I told you that the chair on which you were sitting, it started shaking suddenly. So how do we define an earthquake? We define an earthquake as, write down in your copies, the sudden shaking and trembling of Earth's surface. So the sudden shaking and trembling of the Earth's surface, it is called an earthquake. Now you must be curious to know that how this earthquake is coming on the Earth. Now let us see it diagrammatically. Let us suppose that this is the surface of the Earth. This is the surface of the Earth. The point from where the earthquake waves, they originate beneath the surface of the Earth. This point is called seismic focus. Seismic focus. And if I draw a perpendicular from this point towards the surface of the Earth, I get a new point, and this point is called the epicenter. Now what is an epicenter? Epicenter is the point on the surface of the Earth where the maximum, the shaking and the maximum trembling of the surface of the Earth occurs. Hence maximum destruction it takes place in and around the areas of the epicenter. Okay. So I hope you have understood this much.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, look here, I have something in my hand. Just tell me, what is this?
Scales.
This is a scale. And what do you use it for?
Measuring, measurement.
Don't answer collectively. Raise your hands and answer.
For the purpose of measuring.
Yes, you're right, Shrividya. We use it for the purpose of measurement. We have centimeters and inches on the scale, which is the unit used for measurement. And similarly, we have a unit for measurement. We have a scale for earthquake also. Have you all written what is written on the blackboard?
Yes,
Should I
ma'am.
have it? Okay, thank you, students. Now let us talk about the measurement of the earthquake. measure length with the help of a scale, we measure earthquake with the help of a scale, and this scale is called the Richter scale. The way we use meters, centimeters, inches on the scale, we use a scale for the earthquake, which is Richter scale, and this scale, it starts from a 0 and it ends up at 9. The minimum point is 0 when there is no earthquake, and maximum is when the intensity of the earthquake can be up to 9. Now the question comes, why we have kept 9 as the maximum point? Because the maximum intensity earthquake which ever has occurred on the earth was in Colombia in 1960. And this earthquake in Colombia, it was of 8.9 Richters, and it caused a lot of havoc on the surface of the earth. And we haven't received any earthquake stronger than this till now. Hence the maximum point of the scale is 9. Now I would like to show you the instrument which we use for measuring earthquake. So you'll have to see the slides, dear students. This is the instrument we use for measuring the earthquake, and it is called a seismograph. You can please note down in your copies. Like the way we use a scale for measuring distance, we use seismograph for measuring earthquake. And you can see in this picture the small waves which are caused. These waves are basically being recorded for the earthquake waves. These black lines which you can see, these are representing the waves of the earthquake and their intensity, how strong the earthquake is. So now that we are talking about the measurement and we have been talking about measuring the waves of the earthquake, let us see what are the different types of waves which are caused during an earthquake. Now the waves which are originating from beneath the surface of the earth, they can be of different types. So you can please write the next heading in your copy, that is seismic waves. Seismic waves. Now there are 3 types of seismic waves. What are these? Let us see. The first type of wave are called the longitudinal waves. Longitudinal waves. To understand these waves, let us again draw the diagram. Now this diagram represents the surface of the earth. This is the surface of the earth. And as I told you earlier, this point is called seismic focus. Now I draw a perpendicular towards the surface of the earth, and I get a new point. This is called the epicenter. This we have already done. Now I draw one more line, and let me now label these points. Say this point is point A, this is point B, and this is point C. Now one of you please tell me which line is greater, AB or AC? You can see it through observation. Which is longer, AB or AC?
AC.
AC is longer. Yes, Ashima, you're right. AC is longer. Now this AB, it represents the longitudinal wave, and AC, it represents the next type of wave, which is the transverse wave. The longitudinal waves, they always originate perpendicular from the point where the earthquake begins. So, point where the earthquake waves they originate, the waves which come perpendicularly up, they are called the longitudinal waves. Now, these longitudinal waves, they travel very fast. Their speed is around 5 to 12 kilometers per second. So, that is the speed of the longitudinal waves. The transfer waves, they travel a little slower, and they travel around 5 to 8 kilometers per second. The third type of wave, to understand the third type of waves, let us take a situation. For example, you are standing near a pond, and like small children do, you pick up a stone and pelt it inside the pond. Now a few waves will be formed on the surface of the pond. One of you please come to the blackboard and draw what type of waves will be formed when you pelt a stone in the pond. Can somebody come and show?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Ashma, please. Yes, wonderful. That's correct. Now, when you throw a stone on inside the pond, some concentric waves will be formed on the surface of the water. Now, these third type of waves, they are called surface waves, and they are just like the waves which are formed on the pond surface, water surface. Now, when these transverse longitudinal waves and the transverse waves, they reach the surface of the earth, they spread in all directions. When they spread in all directions, they are called the surface waves. After reaching the surface of the earth, the longitudinal and the transverse waves, they travel in all directions and they become the third type of waves, surface waves, and these are the waves which are responsible for causing maximum destruction during an earthquake. So these were the three types of waves which we have studied. May I now rub the blackboard, dear students?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So just try to revise in your minds what we have done, and I'll be asking you a few questions. Okay. What is seismic focus? Seismic focus. Any one of you can answer? Yes, yes.
Seismic focus is the point from where actually the earthquake begins.
Yes, earthquake waves, they originate. Very right. And what is the epicenter? Please try. Epicenter? Yes, Ashma?
जो मैम seismic focus तो ऊपर
Point होता है. Yes, you are right. The point which is just perpendicularly up to the seismic focus, and the point where the maximum destruction of the earthquake occurs, that is epicenter. And what are the three different types of waves of the earthquake? Name the three different types of waves. Yes.
longitudinal waves, transverse waves, the surface waves.
Yes, you're right. So we have three types of waves: longitudinal waves, the transverse waves, and the surface waves. So we'll do the next part of the lesson now, and let us now try to understand what causes an earthquake. The causes of an earthquake. I'll show you something, students, and you have to tell me what is it. What do you see? What is this?
Volcano.
Yes, you're right. This is a volcano. And Richa, you can come here. What do you see?
A hole.
A hole. It is a vent from where the molten lava and hot gases, they come outside the surface of the earth. You can sit on your seat, please. So this is a volcano, and you can again go back to the chart and see that volcano is also an internal agent of change. Now as we all know that there is a lot of molten lava and hot gases beneath the surface of the earth, and when suddenly this hot molten lava, it comes outside, this sudden movement of the lava and hot gases, it causes the surface of the earth to shake, and thus a volcano, it becomes the first reason for an earthquake. So first cause of an earthquake is volcanic eruptions. I repeat again, students, when the volcano, it bursts suddenly on the surface of the earth, it causes shaking of the surface of the earth, and we have an earthquake parallel to the occurring of the volcano. So the next reason is the tectonic reason. To understand this, let me tell you, dear students, that it is believed that our earth, it is made of rock plates. The inside of the earth, it is believed that it is made of rock plates, and these plates are not stationary. They keep on moving gradually. When they move, there are sudden movements sometimes, and these sudden movements, they cause the trembling of the surface of the earth. Now, what are these different types of movements? Let us try to understand. The first movement which is caused is called folding, and directions towards the same point. What do you observe? What has happened to the file cover?
It's folding.
Yes, it has folded. This is exactly what happens beneath the surface of the earth. When there are forces which occur from the opposite direction but towards the same point, they cause the rock plates to move up and form folds. And this sudden movement of the rocks, it causes earthquake. If you want to see, let us see it on the projector. Now this is how the folding occurs. I hope you can see.
Yes.
And the raised part, it is called the crest. This is the crest. Now the next you can see is the faulting. The next point which causes earthquake is faulting beneath the surface of the earth. Now when, just imagine I have the same file folder, and if I try to pull it apart in the opposite direction, what will happen? It will tear off. This is what happens beneath the surface of the earth when opposite forces, they occur but towards different points. Now this causes the rock plates to move apart and a trough is formed. And a very interesting thing you like to know is that this folding, it causes making of mountains. The Himalayan mountains, they are folded mountains, and these forces which lead to tearing apart of the rock pieces, this leads to forming of valleys. So that is how the surface of the earth keeps on changing continuously. We have new mountains coming up, and we also hear that mountains are increasing in size or decreasing in size. This keeps on occurring because of these agents of change. So folding and faulting are two tectonic reasons why an earthquake occurs. There is one more movement of the rock plates, and to understand that, let me take one example. Okay, I'll take a book, two books. Now, let us imagine that these are rock plates. Sometimes these rock plates, they tend to slip. And this becomes the third tectonic reason for the earthquake. When the layers of the rock which are beneath the surface of the earth, they tend to slip. This slipping also causes sudden movement, and this sudden movement causes an earthquake. So the third tectonic reason is slipping of the rock plates. I hope you have written it in your copies.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. It's clear now?
Yes.
So we just did causes of the earthquake, and I told you there are two broad categories, the volcanic eruptions and the tectonic reasons. May I now rub the blackboard, dear students?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You must have heard about the news of the earthquake. Now what happens post an earthquake? When an earthquake occurs, what type of destruction is caused? You might have heard news. Please try and recall and tell me. What happens after an earthquake? Suppose there is an earthquake which is very strong, and its intensity is something 5 or more than 5. It is going to cause a lot of destruction. What type of destruction will be caused? Yes?
Buildings might fall.
Yes, you're right. It leads to the collapse of the buildings then. And if the buildings collapse, you will have simultaneous loss of life also. And we have a lot of destruction which is occurring due to an earthquake. So what are the effects of the earthquake? You can note down in your copies. Effects of the earthquake. So it leads to loss of life. It is both human life and animal life. It also leads to collapse of buildings, as Shrividya told. It also leads to landslides. And obviously there is a lot of material loss in the form of short circuits and electricity cut down, breakdown. So material loss is also there. So the earthquakes, they can cause a lot of havoc if their intensity is strong. And the last part of the lesson is we will like to know where the earthquake occurs. Which are the areas where the earthquakes occurs more than the other parts of the world? Have you written this, beta?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we'll now study what are the earthquake prone areas of the world. You can see on the slide. This was effects of the earthquake. You can see how much destruction has been caused. Loss of life is there. And this is the world map which shows the earthquake prone areas. Now there are two main areas where the earthquake occurs. The circum-Pacific belt, as you can see, the belt around the Pacific Ocean. So the first is the circum-Pacific belt. And it is around the Pacific Ring of Fire. Okay, the circum-Pacific belt. Pacific Ring of Fire, it is the ring where the maximum volcanoes they occur. So as I told you earlier, whenever there are volcanoes, there are earthquakes. So near the Pacific Ring of Fire, we have the circum-Pacific belt around the Pacific Ocean, and it is the area where the maximum earthquakes are occurring. And one more area is the Mid-World Mountain Belt. So you can write in your copies Mid-World Mountain Belt. Now this is the mountain belt which also includes the Himalayas. So you can correlate that it was due to earthquakes and the foldings which occurred that the Himalayan range was formed. So the Mid-World Mountain Belt, it is another earthquake prone area of the world. Is it clear to all?
Yes.
Take a few seconds and try to assimilate what you have learned so that I can see whether you have understood the chapter or not. So, close your copies and let us revise. Tell me the three causes of the tectonic causes of the earthquake. Three tectonic causes of the earthquake. Yes.
Folding, faulting.
Yes.
Slipping.
Faulting and slipping. Very good. Folding, faulting and slipping. And what is the other main cause of the earthquake? These were the tectonic reasons. Yes. We had two broad categories. One was the tectonic reason and the other was? Yes, you were there. You can try.
Volcanic eruption.
Yes, you're right. Volcanic eruptions. And tell me the two earthquake prone belts of the world. Earthquake prone belts of the world. Yes.
Circum-Pacific belt.
Circum-Pacific belt. Yes.
And second is
Mid-World Mountain Belt. Yes, you're right. Mid-World Mountain Belt. And the last question. What type of effects do we feel after an earthquake? Yes.
loss of health and property.
Yes. Loss of health and property.
Material loss.
Material loss. Yes, we have electricity power cuts and we have human loss. We have material loss. We have landslides as well. So these were the various effects of the earthquake, and with this we complete the lesson, earthquake as an internal agent of change. Thank you, dear students.